All right, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone else, welcome to Tuesday, and we have another edition of the MSP Initiative Live, back with the guy everybody knows and loves, Mr. Ken Patterson, but with a special guest today. If you keep track, we made a special invite to our friend and top commentator and question asker, Mr. Brent Fairbanks. Brent, how are you doing today, my friend? Uh-oh, did we lose the audio?
Brent, we can't hear you, buddy. As soon as the show starts, audio goes bye-bye.
Oh no. It's the blue screen of death syndrome.
There he is.
Okay.
I muted and then unmuted. Okay, whatever.
Well, welcome. How are you?
I thought you were testing us.
Yeah, Brent, why don't you give everybody a little background about yourself for anyone that doesn't know you or have run into you? Audio.
I am Brent Fairbanks, and my business is in the Southern California area. Our office is located in the city of Orange, California, and I have been involved in playing around with electronics since I was about 8 or 10 years old. I'm afraid to say what year that was. It was a long time ago. And I've always been interested and involved in electronics and stuff like that. And actually in 1979, I got my first job in the computer industry, manufacturing 8-inch floppy disk drives. And
Wow.
that's before the PC or anything like that ever existed. They were used on mini computers and people who had some of the older CPM machines and stuff like that. The company then took that, moved the entire division from where they were located in Anaheim to Provo, Utah. The company was headquartered there, and the guy who owned the company was Roger Billings. Roger Billings had a computer company because he had to. His love and fascination was hydrogen energy. And at the time, he had a whole hydrogen city.
Why don't you give everybody
Like that right there. And he needed a computer system to be able to control the hydrogen controls on cars and houses and stuff like that. You know, right there in that area, they had a bunch of steel mills. And what he was going to do was use the hydrogen off. You know, when you go through and you see those smokestacks from steel mills and the big old flames coming out, the reason is because they're off-gassing hydrogen. You know, they set the stuff on fire, burn it up. Well, he was going to collect it and use that to power the city and run the city mill trucks, you know, and all kinds of crap like that. Well, so I was fascinated with that, and then an opportunity came to me to move back to California and work in the aerospace industry. Working in the aerospace industry, I had an opportunity to work on the F-111 attack radar. I had a chance to work on several space shuttle components. And then my big claim to fame was the guidance system for one of the ICBMs that we have around the country. And my job was the board that decodes launch codes. And so if you remember, you know, the TV show, old time TV show Get Smart, that's literally what it was like for me to get to work every day. Had to go through all these steel doors, you know, and stuff like that. And then once you were in there and the door was closed and you were processing, you're not allowed to open the doors. Got to go to the bathroom.
Well,
have a bottle in there with you. So,
excuse me. I was going to say, I can't get through TSA, so they weren't going to let me in that place. But I appreciate that.
They would trap George between two of the doors and then interrogate him.
Yeah. You know, it's like the Star Trek where like the force field and then the force field and then you're stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. What? I mean, listen, sounds like you had an interesting journey into technology, Brent.
I've been doing it for a while.
Well, and you're in California, I mean, which sounds like it's going to be open starting June 15th. Did I hear that right? You
know what? They've actually Disneyland has already opened up. So, you know, when Disneyland opens up, buddy, you know, that means that the world is ready to go again.
Dude, they've been trying to open up Disneyland for a year. I mean, Disney World's been open for quite some time.
Yeah, I'm not sure people understand that. Those big old towers that have got the 250,000 volt wires on them and stuff like that. They've got a bunch of those towers that run right into Disneyland. That place uses a lot of power.
Yeah, I can. I often ask myself like what the amusement park power bill and water
Oh
bill is.
my God. I think that's going to be beyond our comprehension.
Yeah,
And Disney World has their own power company and everything underground, so it's a little bit different.
they're probably one of these places that like sells electric because they're generating so much.
Right. I would imagine that's true.
Yeah, amazing. Well, Ken, you're a big Disney fan, so I'm sure you've paid attention to all those light bulbs as you're walking through the park.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's definitely quite the amount of power, I'm sure.
Yeah, craziness. Well, a lot is happening in technology as always. Anything I mean, I got plenty of stuff as usual that we can touch on, but anything that comes to mind as new and interesting, guys, that have in the last, let's say, 5-7 days that have popped up in your screen.
It
5
just
to
seems to be a
7 days.
continuation. Yeah, 5 to 7 days, right?
Yeah,
my
like
God.
a week. Like I read on the weekends, right? Some people put their phone down on the weekends, not me. It's like built in. So that's why I say 5 to 7, because some people don't like to cut those two off.
Yeah, for heaven's sakes, 5 to 7 days. That's like 10 years in most industries.
It's true. It's true. It's true. The technology industry is just exploding as usual. Well, here's an interesting one that first one up on the list. I hate to be that guy, but yeah, I wonder how that happened. Like I don't even want to point fingers, but all the big guys at the top are always making big dollars in the bank account, right? So, not saying anything one way or the other, just saying,
Okay, so I've got questions along the lines of that. You know what?
Yeah.
I mean, we keep hearing about how we're going to have these laws and it's going to make corporate executives responsible for things. No longer are they going to be allowed to go through and to put it off on the tech department and whatnot. I keep hearing about this kind of stuff or whatnot, but quite frankly, I really don't see anything,
I never paid attention. I mean, you always hear stuff, but I've never paid attention enough to say, did they ever pass anything? I mean, let's be fair, and I don't want to get too political because that just goes down a bad road. But there is a layer of the world called lobbyists, and those people are funded by the people who we're talking about. So when it's all said and done, just like Congress will never pass a law saying they're going to limit the amount of terms that they can run, right? President of the United States can only run for 2 terms, right? 8 years. But you can be a congressman or a senator for until you die. So as long as you keep on getting reelected. So from a lobbyist standpoint, I'm not sure as a CEO of a major tech company, I'm going to play, kind of hurt myself, right? So if there were ever a law or a bill or something put out there, what's the likelihood that it's getting passed across the board? Maybe at the state level, but I don't see it happening at the federal level. That's what I think. And if I was sitting in that boat, I wouldn't try and hurt my own earnings potential either. But that's how the cookie crumbles, I think.
You bring up a very interesting point, though, George. You're going through and you're saying, okay, is somebody going to go through and do anything that's going to be hurting them? You know what? There's all kinds of things that stuff happens in the world or whatnot, and I don't think that people should be penalized and punished, and situations for things that are truly out of your control. But in so many instances, you go in and you walk into the boss and, hey, boss, we really should be backing our data up. It's been 15 years since the last backup. Can we do that? No, damn it. It's going to cost us way too much money. That extra $400 a month, man, that's going to break the bank. Well, you know what? If that's their attitude, maybe they do need a wake-up call or something like that.
But you and I and everyone else knows that the C-level people go and come based on what the shareholders feel, right? generally speaking, if you're in a big conglomerate and they're making money and there's profit and dividends, why upset the tree, right? You're winning, they're winning. You know, like there's something to be said for the other side of things that are going now, which is,
Yeah.
you know, Ken just sitting back laughing, I know, but as the CEO of a big conglomerate company, or as a marketing company or PR department of a big conglomerate company, why do I want to offend any one particular group? Right? Like I want to be as generic and as neutral as possible because I don't want to cut off potential customers, right? I mean, that's what it is. I mean, so like all of this political activism happening through corporate America has not gone well. It's same thing goes here, right? You know, I was watching a movie not 2 weeks ago. It was Gene Hackman. It was about, he was a lawyer. His daughter was working for a firm and they were in a class action against each other. I forget the name of the movie.
Yeah.
I was intrigued because I'm a big legal, you know, kind of buff. But and it was about this car manufacturer who knew that their car exploded if the left turning signal like got, you know, turned on while the car was doing something. And like they had a report that was buried that they knew that this was a problem, but somebody in the bean counting department said, it'd be cheaper to just pay the lawsuits off. Which I'm sure happens all the time, right?
Was it Runaway Jury?
No, I don't know if that was a gun manufacturer. I thought Runaway Jury.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of which one it would even be if with that one or Under Suspicion.
Maybe that, I forget the name, but I was watching it live and I was like, oh, this is actually pretty interesting movie.
I'm throwing them out there trying to think for you.
But anyway, yeah. So as far as that's concerned, you know, you always wonder how these big CEOs still continue to make the money that they're making. But hey, listen, it should work the other way, right? If I was on a board, or if I was, you know, hiring a CEO, I would make sure that the door swung in both directions, right? If the company had a major loss, why is the CEO not getting a hit in his revenue as well? I think that that's fair, right? In my opinion. I know it never works out that way, but
was the bonus tied to a certain amount of revenue generation?
Usually it is.
Okay, well, so what the heck if the guy hits the numbers here? Isn't that what you asked for? You needed to make sure that you needed to talk to Brad Gross and make sure we put in that extra clause that says you have to hit the numbers and not get sued.
Yeah, Brad, you know what? I'll have to ask Brad next time I see him about that. I'm sure he'd love to put that contract together. Shifting into the next direction, Microsoft is reportedly building their own Windows 10 store. I'm surprised it's not already there. I know there's a Microsoft store, but now there's like a Microsoft Windows 10 store. What's the difference?
Well, the Microsoft stores are closing though, or closed.
No, I'm talking about like the store on your computer.
Oh, right. Oh.
Right? Like you can go and add apps from the store. Kind of like Apple, right? I feel like it's a kind of Apple play.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what's different about the old Microsoft store. Because like if you go into your start menu and you type in store, there is a little Microsoft store there right now, right?
Yeah, that's a little suitcase icon down in your taskbar.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering what's different. But apparently a Windows 10 store is coming. So let's find out what that means.
Things related
it's marketing. It's all marketing. I mean, for heaven's sakes, let's just talk about the word or the term MSP. Well, back in the 80s and the 90s, we called them service contracts.
Yeah.
Can't do that anymore now. It's something completely different.
It's a business model.
It's a monthly fee for services. What's different? The tools we use.
But it's a bit.
It's a whole new name.
Oh yeah. Listen, cloud versus hosted. Like, yes, I agree with you. Like the acronyms, but there's got to be something.
It's what sticks and becomes sexy. That's what cloud was, because we had 10 iterations of cloud before we got to cloud, and nobody really enjoyed the name. And then it was cloud. It was like, oh my God, it's so new. No, it's not new. It's changed. It's evolved, but it's still been there for a very long time. Same thing. And MSP, they had to come up with something, because as we shifted from being break fix to managed recurring, the word managed kept coming out, right? So it was, managed solution provider, managed, even people have different names for the acronym, managed service provider, right? It was all this different things. And at the end of the day, it's all about business, right? Paul Redding had it right. It was business solutions provider, which seemed to be a better name.
He wasn't wrong.
It's more
Nope,
accurate.
not at
Yeah,
all.
that's true. Yeah.
So he definitely was not. He was definitely not wrong. It's, hey, what makes it tick, right? So moving on, it looks like Apple is about to launch. Yeah, they're having their event, right? Coming up here with all of the new changes, and a couple of things that have come out of it so far. It looks like we have this. Apple's going to be coming out with a new iPad Pro subscription podcasts. So now we can just we're gonna monetize the MSP Initiative Live. You have to pay $5 a month for our podcast.
Yeah.
Just kidding. So that's interesting. And then another thing that came out of it, I hadn't even really heard about this yet. Air tags. Have you ever heard of air tags? A Bluetooth tile-like tracking device.
I've seen these before, not Apple, called something else.
So
But
like
not an
It's
Apple
the stuff
thing.
you put on the dog's collar, right?
Yeah,
is-
kind of. And there was one like this that bikers were using for their bikes. So if someone stole their bike, they could
Yeah.
track them down. Can't remember the name of it, but it was exact same thing. It was a white circle. You stick it onto the bike, and it would GPS your bike for you.
what happens when you lose the phone? Is there an air tag for the phone?
The phone is supposed to have a find your phone feature, anyways, though.
I understand. I understand. Funny enough, I got a quick story for you. So I was out in Fargo the last couple days, visiting our friends over at BNG, parent company of Connect Booster, and Brady, the CEO of BNG, wanted to help me out, and gave me a lift back to the airport, good old Fargo Airport. Even security is easy there, surprisingly.
For you?
They're like, you only need to go 30 minutes ahead of time. I'm like, no, I can't do that. They're like, okay, go a little bit earlier. And then no, it was okay. They had one TSA agent. That's not true. 3 TSA agents. One person checking the ID, one person running the metal detector, one person running the millimeter wave detection unit. Anyway, so I forgot my phone in Brady's car. So he drives off. I'm like, because I went to go put my hand in my pocket to make sure I had downloaded my boarding pass. Right?
Boarding pass, yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, I don't have my phone. What did I do? Fire up my laptop, and I called him from my laptop on the airport Wi-Fi. He's like, how are you calling me if I have your phone? I'm like, from my computer. He's like, oh, that's slick. That was a good move on your part. And had him come back. Caught him 2 minutes out of the airport.
If only we could have did that when Slade drove off with the bus,
Yeah, that's true. I did not have my backpack and laptop
No.
and all the other good shit, so. But you got to give me credit. That was good thinking in the moment.
It was. So you had to leave the airport and go back out and get your phone.
Yes. So that's it's talking about air tags, right? So what happens if you lose the phone? That just happened to me. So there you go. There's a story for another George. Here's one for you. Microsoft Outlook now lets you end all meetings early so you can give your brain a rest.
What?
It's building in breaks in between your meetings so that your meetings aren't necessarily an hour, right? They're 55 minutes or they're whatever, right? So
I mean,
like
thank God for
your
that.
phone system does when you need cleanup time in between your calls, huh?
yes, that's right.
Well, I was going to say, thank God for that, but it's not like any one of us would just keep going because the meeting has to go till exactly 11. Oh no, we got to keep going.
I mean, yeah, if it ends early, it ends early, right? But I
Yeah,
can tell you, like, if you're hustling, you can fill up your calendar pretty deep.
Right.
I mean, you could get 8, 9, 10, 12 calls back to back. You may not be happy at the end, but you can do it.
Yep. Especially with
everybody schedules their meetings at the same day on the same time. Tuesdays at 10 is everybody on the planet tries to go through to do that. Thursdays is another similar one for stuff. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are nightmares. You look at my calendar, the ends are empty, and in the middle, it's like solid color.
Well, there's a thing where like companies are trying to like, I forget which major company came out and said we're no Zoom on Fridays. Like they won't let you book web meetings on Fridays, like to give people a rest.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
it's
You can
definitely a
still-
thing. It's
I mean,
definitely a thing.
Could just call you, but
Yeah.
I mean, who does that anymore?
You know,
You
I
all the
just got
time.
an invite to an interesting webinar. They had a spin that I've never seen before. They wanted to do, and it was a webinar, and the thing that they were going to be doing is shipping you out a package, previous, to the webinar, and it was on whiskey tasting. It was a computer thing. I was like, wow, maybe I should sign up for this one here.
Yeah, they'll
I mean-
actually send you the whiskey too. George, it was
Apparently-
City.
Apparently,
City does the no Zoom Fridays.
See that? I told you.
Yeah.
I saw.
It's City. Yeah, it's a big deal for them.
See, I at least ship the beer mugs. Whatever you put in the beer mug, like you like water, drink water. You like juice, drink juice. You like beer, be my guest.
Oh, we know what we like here.
Exactly. That's the one. That's the one.
I got one here. I got one in my freezer downstairs. I got one in my freezer upstairs. I'm fully equipped.
Yeah, it's a hot item. It's a hot item. Apple is set to release an update where you can restrict tracking by advertisers. This is really targeted at Facebook, believe it or not. What do you
Because
think about
Apple
that?
doesn't. Because Apple doesn't do that, and now they can track
Right.
even more.
Right. Does that make you feel safer?
Not at all. But I like that little PAX 8 ad down the bottom of your page that you just.
Yeah, you like that? You like that PAX 8
pretty good.
V ad? Look, go back and reshare that so everybody can see that. Look at that.
Pretty good there.
There
Just
it
talk about targeting.
There it is. There it is. Somebody in the marketing department underneath of Mr. Jeter seems to be doing their job.
can I ask you guys a question about that? The targeted advertising. Okay, so let's say, for example, I happen to go to a company's website and I hate their guts. Okay, now every time I go through and I pull up into a web page, there's another ad for, oh
That's
look,
how it
this is
works.
the PSA with the C word on it. I hate them.
Oh.
It kind of it's a reinforcement of the negativity.
Well, what you got to do is like there are browsers out there, and you can that won't allow the cookie tracking and all that other stuff. But effectively, that's what's happening, right? You go to their website and they download a tracking token or a cookie, right? That you went to their website. And then as you matriculate through the internet, that token's waking up their ads.
I mean, I know how the technology works. It's just as a businessman, I stop and I think, isn't that amazing? I just bought an electric scooter off of Amazon, and you know what keeps funneling to me?
Electric
Advertisements for an electric scooter.
Yeah,
I just bought one.
You don't even have to. You just have to say it.
Ads or something like that.
Well, that's the thing. They're listening.
A lot of times
They're listening, right?
They do the same thing here. They're constantly advertising to me on things that I've already purchased, and it would just seem like if we were doing smart business, I'd be figuring out, did the guy buy, and if he did, I should be sending him accessory ads or something like that.
Well, I mean, haven't you ever paid attention where like you go to look up a flight to see if one's available? All of a sudden, like all of the Orbitz, Travelocity, the rental car company, the hotel, all of a sudden you start getting emails out of nowhere, and you're like, "Oh, are you interested in booking a flight?" And I'm like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah. And all you have to do is say it. You don't even have to go online. You could just say it.
Yeah.
That's why you got to be careful, Brent. Don't say that. Don't say that C word.
I was watching a
It'll
movie
pop
about
up.
an airline disaster. And
It
suddenly
pops
I
up
started getting
everywhere.
ads.
George, weren't we? We were having a conversation about something, and at the same time, we both said, "Hey, remember that conversation we were having? It's popping up in my ads."
Yeah.
And I get this to show you how much they're listening. Clearly, I'm not a Philly guy, right? I just happen to know a really good Philly guy, and I get Eagles promotions popping up in my thing all the time because of conversations I'm having with George. So it's the funniest
George
thing.
hacked your computer, Ken.
Yeah.
That's what's really happened.
I mean, listen, if we're gonna go that way, 1 second.
Oh, here he goes.
Yeah, I gotta bring it back out.
There you go.
There you go. You're gonna start getting ads now, man. You're gonna have to add some Eagles jerseys to the back of your area.
Yeah, not gonna happen. And that hat, I would just turn it around and use it for something else.
I hear you. I hear you, Brad. Yeah, like do yourself a favor. Just download one of those browsers that doesn't track anything. I know there's a couple of them. Well,
But
I know.
then I won't have anything to complain about.
Oh no, just go to Reddit. Speaking of which, this great segue.
Great
Now
segue.
all of a sudden, Clubhouse is making everybody change their stuff because they're all the rage.
Yeah, and Clubhouse still only works with Apple.
Yeah. So you just need to make a Clubhouse that works on Android and you're ahead of the game. So now everybody's trying to copy Clubhouse. And like most of the world doesn't even know what it is yet.
Well, and some of them don't care.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't even signed up. Not really interested. I hear it's also always also listening as well.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Nothing like having a Clubhouse, conversation that's, critical security discussion, having the whole entire thing recorded somewhere.
Great, right?
Yeah, so you see an Amazon Electra and Alexa in an aircraft and an aerospace subcontractors conference room.
Speaking of Eagles, Ken, I think that I showed you this, right? They sent me this special package.
Oh, nice.
They're trying to get me to spend some more money with them.
Well, yeah, they're saying thank you for paying for the lost year.
They're like, oh, it's the Fox Bet Lounge, and then they sent me some VIP Fox Bet Lounge.
Wow.
Ah, you like that? You like that play?
I guess I'm gonna have to have that around my neck next time I'm in Philly. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't. Now listen. It comes at a premium, my friend.
When has that ever stopped George Bardissi?
Never has. But yes, this came in a FedEx, and I'm like, oh, what did I get? Open. I'm like, oh, and then I called. I'm like, yeah, it's a little pricey. Thanks anyway.
How much was it?
It was $37.50 for the season on top of your tickets, and that's per person.
Yikes.
Yeah. But you get to enter in the same entrance the players do. And you get to be with all the high rollers. And I'm like, yeah, when I come to the stadium, I want to see the game. So
want to see the game, not smell the sweat.
You're paying an extra price to go into another room and not see the game.
Exactly. That's what I said. I was like, why am I not seeing the game? They're like, oh, but you'll be able to see all the games and you'll bet. I'm like, if I want to bet, I'll go to the book. I don't need to come.
You know what? For $37.50, you could go to Vegas.
Oh, for $150, you can.
That's what I'm saying. No, $37.50, you can fly to Vegas every weekend.
I know, it's crazy.
And then you'll have your bet room right there.
Exactly. Well, I mean, now you can bet on the app. You don't even have to walk into Vegas, but yeah. And New Jersey's still there if anybody ever goes to Atlantic City. So Microsoft released the new version of their Microsoft laptop and Surface Pro line. Right? So now they have the Surface Pro 7. I don't know if you actually took a look at them, but I mean, they're pretty much coming out yearly. You almost need, they almost want to play an Apple game where you just trade in your computer every year and you go to the next one. Right. They do offer them as a subscription.
Huh.
So that's interesting. To both person individuals outside of businesses, and if you're a business, so they'll offer it either way.
Interesting.
They've got ads. They've got ads against that with comparing against Apple's laptop on there.
Oh,
like
yeah.
A little kid going through and talking about, oh, look, the Surface comes with a kickstand. Look at Apple's.
And a keyboard. And it's touchscreen. Yeah, 100%. 100%. I'll tell you what, I'm a real big fan of the Surface line. I'm on a Surface Book right now, Surface Book 3. I was on a Surface Book 1 and 2. So they actually last pretty long, and they're pretty good. Although if you ask Ashley on our team, she keeps on getting the bad Windows Update blue screen, and her computer's only 2 months. She's like, dude, did you give me a lemon? I'm like, it's brand new. Take it easy. So yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The blue screen Windows update because something bad happened.
Oh man, we've had so many issues with printing. A lot of our customers are accounting firms and stuff like that. So the new Windows update comes along. It's like every time I print a tax return, blue screen. Get the updates out of the machine.
Dude, the blue screen, like I thought we were done with the blue screen of death, but apparently not.
No, that has been an issue for us for almost a year and a half now with updates.
Yeah.
Something blows up printing or something like that, and then I stop and I see the advertisements from Microsoft talking about we're going to make everybody feel included. Make me feel included. Make my printer quit work blowing up,
Part of the big problem with Windows updates is all the RMMs had, like, once Windows 10 kind of took control, like all the RMMs had a hell of a time actually managing the Windows updates.
Yeah.
I'm sure Intune does it differently, Ken, right? I mean, for
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, it's not as Intune's not quite there yet from a standpoint of what RMM does. But yeah, it would manage it differently. Obviously, it has better access to the Microsoft stuff, but it's not close to being where the RMM tools are.
Yeah, but I mean, even Microsoft by default won't let you go a year outside of the update cycle.
Right.
Like you're basically forced to stay within at least 12 months.
Yeah, and some of the things we used to do, and that changes with all these new rules, was anything that had to do with print, we wouldn't allow. We wouldn't allow those updates to roll out. If they had anything to do with printers, we wouldn't let them, especially at places like accounting firms where they're printing out their taxes. But you're right, with the way it's changing and how it's all sticks if you don't apply all the patches, it's much more difficult.
Yeah, especially if you're in the compliance territory.
Okay, George, you just brought up something that was coming to my mind here. Okay, so a lot of times people get in trouble because they don't apply patches. But if we apply the patches, it blows the system up, so we get shut down. What's the core business supposed to do in a lot of instances,
Well, I mean, in a perfect world, you have a lab environment, you have a virtual copy of systems for every customer, you can test patches before you
sandbox everything. Yeah.
But like, seriously, who the hell has the time to do all of that every patch Tuesday? No.
Or show me the customer that's going to pay for that.
Well, here's the expectation problem versus the reality, right? They assume that you're doing this already, right? You're taking care of patches when this is where our friend Brad Gross would say, hey, you better be careful what you actually say. Because if it says, I'll take care of your patching, that's a pretty vague sentence.
Right.
What is that? What does that entail, right? And usually that question doesn't come up until there's a problem. Well, wasn't there an MSP who was managing the Pittsburgh airport who got sued because of that?
That's why everything now has to say best efforts.
Yeah. You need to
everything's best efforts. Using our best efforts to patch your systems. Best efforts.
Is that term also a bit nebulous? Best effort? What's the definition of best effort?
My best may not be as good as your best. That's basically, you're right.
I know that for a fact. I know I can't do as much as you.
Oh, stop it.
So it is a double-edged sword. And here's the problem. Let's say you're keeping their Microsoft patching in place, but then all of a sudden a critical system that runs on top of Microsoft breaks and you need to revert, but now you're out of date, right? It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
So that doesn't even touch on the world. That doesn't even touch on the 0-day stuff, right? Like all the Exchange stuff that just happened. Did you guys hear about the FBI and it's saying that they were going into customers' on-prem Exchange servers and fixing it for them? They don't even say anything. Can you imagine? Like, I get pissed off when I open up my bag and it's like, TSA opened up your bag. Sorry, bro. And you get the little piece of paper and you're like, they were in my bag. Whatever. Like, they didn't exactly send you a little sticker like that. Like they came in and they looked around maybe and they deleted some things and then they rolled.
Well, and this is the time they admitted.
Well,
after the fact.
Right. Gentlemen, tell me this. Name something that the government has taken ownership of that has improved. The silence answers my question. You know, they're great. They're great at pointing fingers and stuff like that. But when there actually comes to doling out benefits or whatever, you know,
I got one.
I,
I got one.
uh-oh.
Printing money. It's true. They can print whatever they want. Just
Yeah,
saying.
but that's not a good thing, George.
But,
No,
but
I
do
just
they
said
do
that
it
they're
better
good
than a
at it.
private institution would?
They're print. Yeah, they can print better than most. I mean, where's that Frank Abagnale, right? Catch Me If You Can. He had it down to a science, but like that was just one guy.
And now he's a cybersecurity expert.
Oh, he's a fascinating guy to listen to. I've been to
Absolutely.
several things where I've listened to him talk, and he's changed my mind on several things on stuff that I didn't have a clue about.
He's great, and he'll be the first to tell you, I was a criminal. I deserved everything I got. I was not, there was nothing special about this. I was a criminal, and I'm like, holy crap! Like he also says that he's very appreciative for the movie because it launched a whole bunch of things, but the movie's not even close to his real story. Like there was
I'm sure
how many,
Yeah.
so many things like that he was talking about. And he was like, so everybody thinks that I lived this glamorous life because from the age of 15 to whatever 20, I was on the road. He goes, picture this: you're 15,
He was a
you're
homeless
in a
guy struggling to survive.
You're in a foreign country, you don't speak the language, and by the way, it's Mother's Day, it's Father's Day, it's Thanksgiving. I'm not seeing my family, and the whole reason for running was because he was upset about his parents splitting.
Yeah.
So it's just a crazy story, and he's so fascinating. You're right. Every time he says something, you're like, you're sucked in, and you're listening to what he has to say, and he's just so appreciative for the FBI and what they did and how they brought him in and gave him that second chance. And now his kids, one of his sons was just going through the training in the CIA. Yeah.
Something that struck me one of the first times I heard him talk was the way his personal demeanor and stuff like that, as he was talking about things, would have ripped me to shreds. And he's standing up there at the podium, kind of matter-of-factly discussing that. And I had to stop and say to myself, that's got to be some kind of a defense mechanism, because if I were up there trying to talk about some of these things, man, I'd be a basket case.
Oh, he had the whole room crying. Everybody in the audience was in tears, telling the stories and how like the movie showed his dad, that he talked to his dad. He never saw his dad again. He went to jail. His dad died while he was in jail.
Yeah.
And it's just like everybody in the room is like breaking up in tears, and he's just telling the story. I'm like, man, this guy. I met him too. Super nice guy, like just to meet and talk to too. Just really, really cool. The whole package was really, really great. And someone who's been through all of that and still very down to earth and understands, at the core of it, what it all was about.
And was really genuine at the end of the show when they went through, one of the companies gave out a book or whatnot, and then you could go through and you could stand up there and have your picture. He was so nice and genuine and stuff like that. I mean, he had a line of a bazillion people behind him or whatnot. I mean, every single person who came up and was like, hi, I'm Frank. How you doing here? Shake your hand. It's so nice that you came. People that put that kind of effort into things, man, those are genuine human beings.
Right. Hey, how about this? They asked him, the question that everybody wanted to ask, and we asked when we saw him was, did you really pass the bar exam? Because of everything else he did, he scammed his way in. He was a doctor. He was a lawyer.
I believe that. Yes.
He actually studied for the bar exam at the age of 16 and passed on the first time. Tell me how that guy's brain works. That's insane.
Listen,
people who go to law school can't pass this exam, and this guy studied and took the exam and passed.
That just goes to show. So, by the way, again, legal novice guru, attorney at law, wannabe. Although I do win a lot of my traffic cases, I will admit.
Yeah, you do.
The fact that I have so many that I have a high winning percentage is interesting. We'll put that aside for a second. There are 3 states in the United States where you can go take the bar exam without ever having gone to law school.
Yeah, and I think he did it in Georgia, which was one of those states.
So my point is, like, that just goes to show you sometimes the quality of the education that you're getting ain't all cracked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're spending a lot of money. You're spending a lot of money for that education, right? You go to law school, you get to drop 6 figures, right? You're not coming out. I don't even think they give it's graduate school. You don't get scholarships for law school.
No.
So like you're gonna pay. Whether you're gonna pay for a long time or whether you have the money in the bank, you're gonna pay.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to think of at 16 years old, he studied and passed one shot.
Hey man, it's all about how hard you want to work.
Well, it's about that brain retention too.
Well,
His brain worked in a different way.
But some people learn differently. I was just telling somebody yesterday, like if you gave me a book and I had to go read it, 50-50 chance I retained it. But if you showed me something once, 100% I'm going to remember. Like some people are just different learners, right?
True.
Or some people do prefer to read, and others, they want to watch the movie, the video of the thing, or whatever. It's
yeah, me too, George. But we're not getting the whole story with the TV.
I mean, listen, if you go watch that Wall Street, Mark Wahlberger, I know you're Mark Wahlberger.
Mark Wahlberger.
Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg, one of your faves. It's pretty raw, man. It's pretty raw. Like they're rolling the camera during some interesting times, and you're just like, wow, okay, that wasn't edited. That's real deal, man. Bad things happen, and you got to figure out how to pivot. And when you got a lot of businesses, exponentially so.
Yep.
I don't think Ken's putting that on his watch list.
I'll watch it. Listen, I told you I'm happy he's doing well. It's not, by the way, it was the other brother that was the that had some issues
Donnie.
when we were younger. Right. Donnie had that, but I'm happy they're both doing well. They're both in good places. They came from a tough neighborhood. They're not like the Ben Afflecks and the Matt Damons who came from drama school, right? They weren't tough kids. They play tough kids on TV, but they're not. The Wahlbergs, they came from a really tough neighborhood and made something of themselves both separately. That's a pretty impressive thing.
Well, the mother just died this past
yeah,
weekend.
she just passed away. Yeah. I just saw that. I saw him sing to her live. It was pretty epic. He made every woman in the place cry, bawl their eyes out. And this guy knows exactly what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. But back in the day, all right, we'll leave that story out.
Yeah. No Ken back in the day stories.
All right, man. Okay. All right. So coming back to the business tip. So like 2.5 weeks ago, we had almost 3 weeks ago now, we had another Microsoft snafu. Of course, it was DNS. How everybody always blames DNS. Microsoft DNS service crashed. That just goes to show you, right? Like, again, nobody's perfect, and even the big guys have problems. So what would you like? Is your recommendation to people, hey, be careful where you host your DNS or have multiple DNS providers? Like if Microsoft can't, is going to have an issue and they're as big as they are MSPs even leveraging Amazon and Microsoft for DNS services at this point? I know that they do it, but I don't know if that's their go-to.
Yeah, not at the extent that you're talking about. I mean, let's face it. We were just talking about, having to pay for, simple little tools or do little things like that. Nobody's talking about on a global scale having DNS backup for everything they do. There are products out there that do, that your email can stay flowing even though that type of stuff fails, right? And there's products that do all these bits and pieces. But I mean, hey, listen, maybe you just came up with a great idea that someone can say that's the new product, right? DNS failover, and you'll stay up and functioning. But
I mean, there's companies out there that do this, right?
Yeah, right. But where are they and what are the costs? That's usually the separating point. If they were really good, I'm sure guys like us would know about them right off the top of our head because they'd be priced right and people could get to them. Usually it's, there's a company like that, and then you don't hear too much about them because they're priced out of sight, or you don't know if you can trust the company or not because you haven't heard of them.
A lot of people just get their domain name from Network Solutions or GoDaddy, and
the
free one.
Right.
They're taking the free one and they're hoping and they're praying. Don't have a problem until there is.
Plug and pray, baby.
Well, this comes back to this story, right? Like the internet is a fragile place. One person misannounces their BGP and all of a sudden there's a major, major, major problem. Right? And then the internet goes down.
Look, you were talking about rent-a-car places, and now there's a rental car ad at the bottom of the page. See?
Yeah, look at that. See that? Hurts.
It does.
See?
Oh, sorry, something else.
It's done. Oh God. Anyway, so like, the internet's a very fragile place, right? It could break at any time, but yet so much is relying on it now.
Right.
So like, how do
100%.
you make sure you put that in your MSA? I'm not responsible if the internet breaks. Leave me alone.
It's active God clause now, right? Only active
Is
cloud, active cloud
active
clause,
class?
active
No,
cloud
gentlemen, come on,
clause.
man. You know the answer.
Yep.
On-prem.
Oh God.
Good Lord. Yeah, because the chances
Don't
of
touch
a
that cloud. It's gonna blow up on you someday.
there's your ad. Cloud. It's gonna blow up on. It's gonna be at the bottom, Ken. It's gonna be on the page.
I'd much rather have a server in my next to my bathroom in my my MSP than
Well,
in a
I
protected
mean,
location.
or in the bathroom.
Yeah, we've talked about that. We've seen it. Did you see somebody posted a picture of someone's closet and they took, those plastic storage containers, with the cover and you can put them in your basement to store things. They took one of those plastic containers and they drilled it to a wall and put all the electronic equipment in and cut holes in the side for air. So you just flip the cover open and there's all the electronic equipment, the phone, the modem, everything was all inside this plastic. That's how they were protecting it in this room that they had. I'm like, that's the most inventive thing I've seen. Other than I saw somebody, their server was getting hot. It was a pretty big manufacturer, truck manufacturer. We went in there to check out the place, and the server had chicken wire screwed to the side of it because the server was getting too hot. So they took the cover off and put a screen to protect the server and screwed chicken wire to the side of this server. And I'm going, how many ways can you disable, void your warranty? Let me count the ways. And it was just, and I said to the guy, I'm like, what are you protecting against with the screen? He's like, well, flying debris and stuff like that. I go, what about dust? Like, what about dust and dirt? And they had a fan across the room blowing air towards it to keep it cool as well. So yeah, seen some pretty interesting.
So even the on-prem can blow up.
Yep, just saying.
Chicken wire.
Chicken wire to protect, to keep it cool.
One of the worst environments I ever saw was in a machine shop. And once a year, they would hire us to take their computers, take the computer completely apart, put it into a vat of alcohol, and wash the cutting oil off of them. And I stopped and I thought, what do you guys' lungs look like?
That does not sound good. That does not sound good at all. I mean, but we've all seen some pretty crappy stuff, right? The spaghetti, the 4-port switch on top of on top of the drop ceiling, like
switch. 4-port hub.
I'm sorry, hub.
To really make it
like the piece of equipment that's held up by the coat hanger. I mean, like all sorts of crap.
Oh, wait, I got you. The one that we've all seen, the Linksys switch that has DHCP on it somewhere in a ceiling that you can't find. Meanwhile, you're getting IP conflicts all over the network and you're wondering, where is this coming from? And some idiot put a Linksys up in a ceiling tile handing out DHCP.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, it's the Best Buy Staples play, right? Oh, I need something on the fly. And they just buy whatever it is.
George, I flew someone halfway across the country because they said the network's going completely crazy. We can't stay, we're not staying up, the whole thing. This was back in the day, before managed switches even. And we're going back and forth. I literally said, I bet you it's a switch or something simple. Can you guys, nope. You guys need to get someone out here. So I told my tech, I'm like, listen, I think you're going to fly out there, get off the plane. You're going to take this, you're going to plug it in and you're going to come back. And he's like, there's no way. Sure enough, get there and goes over to the switch. Like I said, and one of the lights is just doing the light blinking thing goes completely. It's just like, why did I put somebody on a plane, fly them across the country when I was literally telling you this is where it is?
So now they have like the app where you can basically do like the business version of a FaceTime, right? Or I guess you
right. Well, and now you have managed switches where you can actually go right to the port and see that it's
Yeah,
spewing
see what's
down
going on.
to the network. Yeah.
But I mean,
So-
there's still stuff that's not like, there's still stuff that just you have to unplug it and plug it back in, right?
Right,
'Cause it's not
exactly.
responsive.
Well, as funny as
That's
we
when
all
you have
joke about
managed
that.
power.
Yeah.
Well, that's great for
Let me
everyone
tell
to
you,
have.
buddy,
And
we go through and we do that. There
I-
are so
I'm a
many
Wa-
times when
I'm
the
a
RMF
Wattbox.
will
I'm a
not reboot
Wattbox
a
fan.
computer.
I'm a
Got the
Wattbox
plug.
fan. But then look at all the people who had the Datto power strips and they just decided to turn it off. Right? So like
Yep.
managed power sounds great, but like you got to do it for real. You got to standardize, right?
Yeah, it's it's very interesting to see all the, even with the changes, how much craziness can happen and what people will do
Oh, but
to make stuff
rebooting
work.
is still all like.
Well, I was just gonna say,
20,
you're right.
20 years from now, it'll still be. Did you try starting it off?
But let's be honest, it works. It works a
does.
lot of the time. It's like I feel stupid saying it. Even when I'm saying it to somebody, did you restart it? Like, and they're like, "Oh, that's the funny." Okay, restart, and then they restarted. Like, yeah, that worked. It does. It sounds silly, but it does work.
Yeah.
I even get offended sometimes when I call support or something. They're like, "Did you reboot it?" I'm like, "Come on, man, you're talking to someone. Check. Oh yeah, that works. Thanks."
We all fall into it, right? It all
Right.
still happens. No, but I'm a big fan of the. I know Wattbox kind of popped in the channel 4 or 5 years ago. We got them everywhere. We've standardized on them way back when. We still put them out there. Even like the ability for it to ping the IP address of the device and it stops replying, it automatically power cycles the outlet. That's slick. Because by the time the customer calls you, it's back online.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I get scared. I get scared when I'm like, oh yeah, you got to unplug and plug it back in again. And they go in and I'm like, oh God, they're going to unplug the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
And just remember, not with security and everything, pinging's kind of going out the window because you're not allowing things to ping devices anymore.
Yeah, but this would be in the LAN, right?
Okay.
So we're not
Okay.
talking like usually it's like, hey, like I'm within the LAN, I'm pinging the router's internal IP
Right,
address.
right,
It
right.
stops. All right, power cycle, bring it,
Yeah.
And it doesn't do it right away. Usually put in like so many failed tries within a certain period of time, then it
Right.
does it.
Right.
That way, if your stuff's rebooting, it doesn't stay in a reboot forever, right?
Yeah. Kind of like when you tell them to reboot the computer and they turn the monitor off and on.
Oh, I did it. Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you didn't reboot the computer. Can you just tell me where, what you were pushing on? Like, like the old coffee holder, that whole Fidelity Investments. I can say that now. Fidelity Investments, when I worked there, I had the VP screaming at me because he broke his coffee holder on his computer. And after much discussion and trying to dance around me getting fired,
That happened to so many people.
Dude, I know. And I was like, and this was before it happened to everybody, so I didn't know. And I was like, wait a minute, can you just tell me what it says on the front of this thing? And he's like, 4X. I'm like, unbelievable. Dude was using his CD-ROM as a coffee holder, putting his coffee cup in it.
So many people.
And now it's like I feel better about it because it was so many people, but I was dealing with the VP of a billion-dollar company. And I'm like, I can't argue with this guy. So I replaced his coffee holder.
Wow. Like
Did he
now
break it off? Did he break the tray off?
Yeah, it broke. The tray finally broke off. So that's what I had to do. So I was like, I went up there and I talked to a couple people and they're like, dude, I just replaced it. All right. I was an intern. I wasn't messing around. I went up there, I replaced the CD-ROM and I'm like, hey, pretty soon it's going to be even stronger. 8X.
He didn't even realize what you were saying.
No clue. Listen, I've done training with people where I say, okay, take your mouse and move it across the screen. And they do this.
It's IT crowd all over again. That joke.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's like talking into the mouse, thinking it's a microphone.
One guy put it on the floor. Was stepping on it. He put it on the floor. I thought it was a pedal. That was back in the 80s, though. So.
Wow.
However, let me tell you guys, there's plenty of times when something that seems absolutely insane is really what's going on. I had a situation in a doctor's office one time where one of the workstations kept rebooting. And out of frustration, I finally talked to the gal who worked on the computer. I said, tell me, what do you think is going on with the thing here? Whatnot. And she kind of gets a sheepish look on her face and she says, well, every time this song comes on the radio, my computer reboots. And I'm thinking, okay, what? So what was the song have anything to do with this? So I sat there in their office one time and the damn song comes on here. And when it does, she starts sitting in her chair, rocking back and forth like that. And I noticed that the power cord was underneath her mat here. It was shorting out.
That's a good one.
What was going on? All I had to do was ask her.
I love when every time the front desk computer goes down and the whole network goes down. It's like their de facto server, even though it's not really supposed to be a server. It's always that computer that goes down, right?
Dude, that is a funny story. Dancing around. I had one of the weirdest ones I ever had was for a large nonprofit. So we were panicking. The server would keep going nuts, and literally it was a Novell server, so it gives you the age, and numbers were coming down the screen, like random numbers, insane, right? And I'm like,
the full-on matrix,
like yeah. And it was this was a brand new server at the time. So we're like trying to figure it out. So I call the local distributor guy, who happens to be an Asian guy. No, not stereotyping, but this dude was one of these people you call. And I'm like, Pay, this is what's happening. What's going on? He goes, do me a favor, pop the cover. Does it have a fan on it? I'm like, no, but most servers don't. This was back before fans started becoming a thing. He's like, show up here and get a fan and it'll fix the problem. I'm like, get out of here. I'm not kidding. This thing looked fried, like it was not even a joke. Drove to the shop, got a fan, drove back, put the fan on, started it up, and everything booted normal. Didn't even have to fix anything, didn't have to change anything. It just came back. The processor didn't know what to do, and it was causing all this problems.
Yeah.
The fan gets on there, and everything came back. I was like, this guy is a genius. But by the way, the server was brand new out of the box, so it wasn't like a fan was missing or it needed to be on the thing. This guy was like, come get a fan.
Could you imagine a server shipping now without a fan?
Right, exactly. Without multiple
or 6 or 7 of them.
Yeah.
Like you always hear the complaint that the server's so damn loud, it sounds like there's an airplane in there.
Right. And then they found ways to get the fans to start up and go back down.
Slow down and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine that, a fan not on the server, on the processor chip.
Yeah.
God, this had to be 90 something or other, but yeah, the guy was right. And he called it right away. I drove down there, got a fan, came back, popped the sucker on there and just turned it on. That was it. And it came right on and everything was fine. I thought we were gonna have to repair the thing. Nothing.
So we'll have to start a series when technology actually works.
Yeah. Oh, a fan. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what's going to happen now? We're all going to have ads for fans.
Yes. Of some sort or another.
It's gonna be like, the regular fans, right? Rotating fan.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like a Lowe's or Home Depot.
Hold on, I'm gonna open Facebook right now, and if it doesn't say Lowe's, Home Depot, or fan, we might be okay. Let's see what the first ad is. Hold on, it's coming up. The first ad. Now they're getting to be more of the technical related when you go to Facebook. Atera was the first ad. Oh, nah, too slow.
Too slow. Still.
You know what though? They're oh crap! I just closed all my tabs. They were listening to us, so they're like, "We'll wait. See, we'll wait."
We'll wait till the next show, Ken.
Yeah.
Did you see? There's a documentary on Netflix about this, right? How it manipulates things based on your response. Yeah, you should go check that out.
Oh yeah.
Oh look, Netflix just popped up as an ad on my.
Oh boy. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for watching. This is our usual podcast day, where we just kind of talk shop and got a little bit of that today. So happy to have Brent on today. Thanks for joining us, Brent.
Thanks, Brent.
Gentlemen, it was very nice to be with you. I seriously, I appreciate it.
No, hey, we appreciate
Thanks for coming. It was awesome.
Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1:00, right here. Join us every week. Of course, they're recorded. You can find them on mspinitiative.com. Don't forget to sign up for our monthly prize giveaway on the website. There's 10 prizes to win. If you don't sign up, you can't win. And of course, Channel Strong Tour coming to the Midwest at the end of May.
Wait, one last thing. And remember, if your customers are dancing, could be causing the problem.
Okay. I think we're gonna end it there, guys. Have a good one. See ya.
Bye, guys.